Welcome, welcome to everyone, both speakers as well as participants. Our topic today is talking about artificial intelligence and its impact on the workplace. It's just thinking earlier today as I was preparing that there isn't a day that doesn't go by that I don't read about something about AI in the newspaper, online, etc. So it's certainly getting its share of the press, and hopefully our speakers can do justice to this and help boil it down to what's the impact on the HR profession as well as the impact on the workplace in general, the industries, the employees, etc. Um, so welcome, and we'll get started. The format, just so everybody knows, from a housekeeping perspective, Anna will monitor, or either Anna or Erica will monitor the chat. If any questions come up, we'll interrupt and we'll answer those. I'll go over the backgrounds of the speakers in just a moment. We'll then have an interactive process where I'll ask questions of both. We'll have some dialogue. It'll be very uh, informal, if you will, hopefully educational. And then we will have some closing statements from each of our speakers, and then we'll wrap up. So I know we have an hour and a half scheduled. We will not take an hour and a half. We'll probably at least we've done, I don't know how many of these now, maybe 6 or so. We generally end up right on the hour. So let's jump right in. Again, welcome to the speakers and participants. I'm going to start with Blama first. Blama Sornar is an author, speaker, consultant, marketing strategist, and creative entrepreneur with 10 years of experience coming up with disruptive and innovative solutions in various sectors, including health and wellness, software as a service, e-commerce, media, financial, and professional services. He's a graduate of Bucknell University and a native of Coatesville, PA, with extensive experience in business development and brand management. He's co-founder and CEO of Web Collaborative, a full-service digital creative agency that specializes in digital marketing, web development, software solutions, and influencer marketing campaigns that future-proof businesses. He was mentored by the late Dr. Robert E. Linneman and would later fuse his passion for creativity, culture, technology, communications, media, and branding into his work. He has an acute ability to see and synthesize ideas, discern patterns, establish frameworks, and cultivate strategies that help to breathe new life into campaigns while unlocking purpose and hidden possibilities for his clients. He does this via his digital DNA model, which combines digital strategy and disruptive innovation to amplify impact and streamline operations for sustainable growth. His mission is to help inform better digital investment in disruptive times. Welcome, Blama. Tyrone Robinson III is a highly experienced and passionate business consultant with over 15 years of experience in developing, managing, and leading successful programs, organizations, and small businesses. With a strong focus on building world-class organizations that impact the success and satisfaction of their employees, internal and external customers, shareholders, and communities, Robinson is a highly sought-after speaker and thought leader in the business world and beyond. Tyrone is the owner and lead consultant of Opportunities to Serve, a business and IT consulting firm. Tyrone has spearheaded initiatives that have strengthened organizational values and expanded revenue generating and service capabilities for numerous clients. By delivering impactful results, Robinson has demonstrated strong ability to support business growth and enhance profitability. Prior to founding Opportunities to Serve, Tyrone was recognized as a top mental health professional in the nation. He helped individuals suffering from severe mental illness unlock their potential and achieve success in life, employment, business, and education. Tyrone is also a published author of The Light Within Us All, Life Lessons Through Self-Discovery. The Light Within Us All, Life Lessons Through Self-Discovery is an easy-to-read handbook that summarizes a program designed to help you achieve life goals, unconditional happiness, meaning, purpose, and total freedom. Welcome, Tyrone. So again, thanks for being here. And without further ado, after reading the bios of both of our panelists, let's jump right in with some questions and some dialogue. So we talk a lot about AI. I know I've been subject to this. I've always associated AI with what I know as Chat GPT. I know no better. That's all I know. That's all I read. That's all. But I don't think that's it. I think AI is bigger than Chat GPT. So can we get into that a little bit, gentlemen? Whoever wants to
Sure.
jump in first, tell us sort of what is AI, other than most of us knowing, to go online and ask questions to Chat GPT.
I'll jump in. Um, when we talk about AI, it is essential to understand that it encompasses more than just ChatGPT or other conversational AI models. AI refers to the development of computer systems that can perform tasks typically that required by human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and problem solving. Um, AI can be categorized into narrow AI, which focuses on specific tasks, and general AI, which exhibits human-like intelligence across a wide range of tasks. So that's how I would break it up.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, AI, I like to really just kind of keep it really simple for a lot of people. It represents artificial intelligence. It's really just a simulation of human intelligence in machines. So it really mimicking the capabilities of humans and technology. So once we understand the capabilities are much wider spectrum than ChatGPT, which is more of a conversational model or large language model system, but it can encompass a variety of areas that you're going to start seeing more things in robotics. You can start seeing more things dealing with personalization and some of your customer experiences and some of the technology you already use in the business.
So clarify one, that was very helpful. Thank you, by the way. Clarify one additional thing for me. I hear a lot about generative AI. What exactly is that?
So
There's a support email. They're like going to another company. There, she got it.
all right, so so
Go.
when you hear generative AI,
Yeah.
it refers to the ability to generate content, or generate information. So for example, it's really for example, ChatGPT, that's one of the generative models, right? It's really based on the information that's learned from a certain point of time, as far as through machine learning, and it's able to generate information that are most likely based on different algorithms, that most likely is the right answer. So that's what generative AI right now is. So it's not something where it's actually logically thinking like a human person, a human being, to give it an answer, but it's based off of algorithms that's giving the most likely right answer based on the data that it's been modeled after.
And so it gets smarter over time, is my understanding, by the
Absolutely.
information that it digests and the information that it spits out.
Right.
Gotcha. Tyrone, anything to add there?
No, I guess I would just sum it up as general AI focuses on the creation of new original content or data. I certainly would bring in the algorithms and models to generate output that can mimic or replicate human-like creativity and intelligence. But other than that, we're just kind of dumping on characteristics. So I think that's pretty good.
Great. So we talk a lot about this, and as I said earlier, that the day doesn't go by that I don't read an article or several on artificial intelligence and its impact on the workplace and so forth. So what trends are you both seeing as it relates to AI and the workplace? And Tyrone, why don't you start for us?
Sure. I would say maybe a top four would be automation, data-driven decision making, personalization, and virtual assistants and chatbots. And if I had to break them down, automation would just be taking care of repetitive and mundane tasks. So just basically freeing up yourself or your employees to focus on more complex and creative work. When I say data-driven decision making, it's really about analyzing vast amounts of data and providing valuable insights, which enables businesses to make more informed decisions and drive growth. When I reference personalization, AI enables businesses to personalize customer experience, so tailoring products, services, and marketing campaigns to individual preferences, leading to improved customer satisfaction and loyalty. You'll see that across the board from every type of communication nowadays. And then when I say virtual assistants and chatbots, there's a couple different ways that I can kind of break that down, but they're more or less used to enhance customer service, streamline internal processes, and provide instant support, resulting in improved efficiency and reduced costs. So use cases that I often use when it comes to chatbots or virtual assistants might be for internal use, where you're housing standard operating procedures, or in this case, maybe your entire HR manual, policies, procedures, so that someone's not banging down someone's door, making calls to HR, when in fact they can just use your chatbot to refer to those things that they may have been sending you a message for in the first place. And then an external use might be your typical chatbot that's placed on the website that can take care of everything from your FAQs to tell me more about so-and-so in the company or their process and things of that nature. So again, really just getting an opportunity to reduce the amount of human input on things that don't really require it.
So if I have a question, if I understand you correctly, I have a question. I'm thinking about this virtual assistant chatbot topic that you just addressed. If I have a question about, I'm an employee in a company and I have a question about a leave policy, I have a question about a paternity policy, what have you, paid time off, anything. You're saying that rather than call me, your HR person, that there is a tool, a technology, a virtual assistant available that can pull that information from the various policies, documents, handbooks, etc., and be able to reiterate it to me so that I understand it.
I'm saying that there are a vast number of tools that you can use to create internal knowledge bases. So every company I work with, I create a knowledge base. What's a knowledge base? It's all of their intellectual property. In this case, we're just going to stick with their HR policies and procedures, who to contact, when to contact, how to contact, everything, right? So we're creating a knowledge base that allows that company to have its own information, meaning it's not pulling from open source like a ChatGPT, but it's pulling directly from your information, whether that's company specific, or in your case, maybe company specific, meaning your templated policies that you may pass to other companies with just little iteration. So the long and short here is, in order to free myself up when I'm working with a company, either operations or HR specific, I create an assistant for every one of those positions. And with access to those chatbots, it enables people to get answers whenever they need them. And every week in my process, I look at all of the entries that have been entered into the chatbot from, in this case, employees. And if I'm not satisfied with the output, I will just go back in and create documents or create a style of writing that makes the most sense when referring back to your people. So again, if Sally wants to know when the maternity leave is, sure, the chatbot can spit out maternity leave, it's 9 months, yada, yada, yada. However, if she has a question more specific to her, I will see that come right in that same conversation. And maybe the chatbot doesn't have that answer. However, it will reply if I ask it to with something that makes the most sense, right? And what makes the most sense is something that I'm asking it. So in this case, it'll say, you know what, this is a great question. Why don't you call HR at 215, yada, 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 ask for so-and-so, right? So at the very least, in every organization, you should have a referral base of information so that, again, people aren't spending too much time banging down doors, disrupting productivity, and just completely wiping out the efficiencies of your operations, just for the simple fact that they don't have a place to go to, right? It's not that they don't have a policy and procedure manual. However, who knows where anything is in a policy and procedure manual. The better it is, the harder it is to find where the stuff is.
I get
So
it.
it simplifies the entire experience and allows persons to zero in, and I guess allows HR professionals to zero out.
I guess that was a shot over the bow at HR professionals in terms of their writing of handbooks, right?
Well, I mean, everybody has the handbooks, but I haven't met a company where you can ask 4 people what's in the handbook and where, and they be able to do it. However, in my process, no one has to be the end all. You know, you can just literally type in your sentence, your question, whatever your case is, and everybody's the genius. So, you know, it just levels the playing field of knowledge.
Got it. I appreciate that. Good insight.
Just to add on to that, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to ask Blama,
Yeah,
please add some
yeah.
insight in.
One of the things I've really seen as far as in the HR world and in companies in general, even with executives, is really leveraging AI like a co-pilot, and that's what we like to call it, like a co-pilot. Really helps to improve decision making, and as you know, as Tyrone was sharing, it really helps to streamline the processes using chatbots and automation. So, for example, in the recruitment process, you know, you can have automated resume screening. This technology has been around before, but now you can also have automated maybe the first round of interviews, right? Where you can have people, you know, if it's a remote position, for example, in the development space where I'm at, you'll see different interviews where people actually begin to share their resumes or share a little bit about them via video, and then you can actually screen those candidates for different signals as far as different assessments that you may have, whether they're lying or whether they're telling the truth, the emotional sentiment. It just gives more advanced abilities of screening. And then I'm also seeing some things with some of the companies I work with in the manufacturing space for the Internet of Things, where you start to see things as far as predictive maintenance, like in manufacturing. So you're going to start seeing a lot more innovation there. That's really intriguing from a robotic standpoint. And a lot of roles where it was mainly manual, where where people are doing a lot of work, you're going to be able to see the lengthening of technology and different tools that they're already using on the workforce because of the predictive maintenance, being able to tell through the different data sensors on the machinery, whereas they'll have to reduce downtime and reduce operational costs, right? And then there's also in the standpoint, we just came out of a pandemic not too long ago, right? So we've seen some AI tools that help as far as in remote work and collaboration as well. You know, whether it's virtual meeting assistants, where many of you guys are probably already familiar with, you'll see below thing. I'll take notes for you, right? Determine agendas. You're going to start seeing more of these AI tools baked into things that you're already using from a regular standpoint, whether it's in Microsoft Teams. You're going to start seeing more tools baked in as you start to see AI encompass more into what we're doing in our processes and our workflows, where you're going to start to see automated scheduling. You'll see real-time language translation. It'll help to really improve the collaboration and streamlining your workforce across business units, not only locally, but also globally.
Interesting. So one of the things that I've been reading a bit about as it relates to AI is sort of from the employee perspective. You know, what does it mean for my job? Am I going to lose my job? Is it going to upset my industry so that no longer do we need people to be doing that particular role? So can you tell me a little bit about, and I don't know why. Oh, Erica's coming up as me for some reason, but that's okay. We got it fixed. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're seeing as it relates to employees in the workplace? Blama, I'd like you to start if you would. I mean, are people scared about losing their jobs? Is this a reality or is it a myth or what? What's happening there?
Yeah, so I mean, what I find often is neither what I usually see is an overreaction. That's with all technology, right? Whenever there's something new, you know, there's fear, right? Because it's the fear of the unknown. But what I'm actually seeing in the workplace is not so much a replacement, but I'm seeing a transformation of certain tasks in the workplace, in the workforce, right? So just how things may work. You may not be outright replaced through automation and certain tools, through certain tools with AI and certain workflows, but you will see those that are leveraging AI in their workflows, they will start to outperform you if you do not begin to grow in your education, how you can leverage it in your production of your work, your value that you provide to your workplace. So what we're doing is with some of our clients is really just educating them on how they can leverage AI, whether you're a graphic designer or you're a web developer or you work in operations or you work in management, you're a manager, right? There are ways that AI can help you to do your job better, right? Ways that you can do data analysis better. You can present reports better, right? If you can spend a whole week putting together a data report and you're putting it together as far as about how people on your team are performing, you could use AI to actually get a little bit more nuance in those reports, and you use to measure at a different level using the power of AI. I also believe that AI also is going to create new job opportunities. Like one of the new job opportunities because of the large the large learning GPT you're starting to see a lot of is in what they call prompt engineering, right? Can we apply these tools? So you're going to start seeing more of these roles start to come to the forefront. And I believe those are more human AI collaborations in certain roles just to improve the complex problem solving capability. But I believe what we have to do is we got to look at how ways that we can, and what we do usually with companies when we do workshops, we'll do things as simple as, right, what are your job or what types of KPI should you be measuring and tracking for? If you're starting to do training for certain roles, how can you create a career plan using AI that can improve those roles so they can become more proficient in a role that's custom to them, custom to their skill sets, right? And that's going to help them to be able to produce at a higher rate, faster. So I think those are the ways you want to begin to look at AI. Look at it as an augmentation tool, not as a replacement tool, but as an augmentation tool.
Interesting. You said you used the term prompt engineering, and I just read something recently where they boiled that down to basically that's asking AI the right questions. That's knowing what to prompt AI to give so that you get what you want. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I one of the things I first learned when I first started coding was about this is a term we used to call garbage in, garbage out, right? What you feed it is what you get out of it. And it's really just learning how to work with the algorithm so you can refine the language, also to determine to develop the learning capabilities so you can get better results, right? As you start to see new models come out, we went from ChatGPT 3.5 to ChatGPT 4. I remember when we were still like ChatGPT like 2.5, we were working with earlier models, and it was mainly in the marketing space as far as the copywriting. But now you're going to start these new models come to the scene, and what's going to start to happen is you're going to create frameworks. So you're going to begin to give, let's say it's Tyrone was sharing about your knowledge base, right, for your company, right? And let's say you create your own version of ChatGPT on your own server. Let's say using something like Azure or something like that, and then you develop it on your own systems, your own company's information. Now you create frameworks and you create functions and you create formulas that's going to help to get better data. Really, it's almost like creating like a recipe sheet. That's what I like to call it. And so when you bring these people in as prompt engineers, what they're going to help you to do is to get to certain types of results and certain types of answers faster because of their ability to leverage the different tools that are out.
Tyrone, let's switch gears a little bit, or at least, well, I want to follow up with you on the issue of employees and being scared about their jobs being eliminated and so forth. What are you seeing? And then I have a couple of follow-up thoughts there.
Okay. Without having too much overlap, I do agree AI is more likely to augment human capabilities rather than replace jobs entirely. While some routine and repetitive tasks may be automated, AI creates new job opportunities as well. According to the World Economic Forum, AI is expected to create 12 million more jobs than it displaces by 2025. The key lies in reskilling and upskilling the workforce to adapt to the changing demands. I guess looking ahead, AI will inevitably replace many roles, such as data entry clerks, customer service agents, and things of that nature. I believe Accenture predicts 40% of working hours will be affected by language tasks alone. However, there are new roles, like Blama said, including prompt engineering, but there's AI auditors, and information security analysts, and a whole bunch of other pieces that are kind of coming into the light pretty much every day, as you were speaking to. I think the good thing here is to recognize that employers today are emphasizing reskilling rather than reducing staff size. If we're talking, I guess, specifically about, I guess, the impact on HR jobs, I think you're looking at augmenting HR roles, automation and administration of administrative tasks, maybe improve recruitment and selection, talent development and learning, and probably things around employee experience and engagement are probably going to be the first things that HR experiences specifically. But to my point earlier, we're not necessarily looking at a complete displacement. There are some additional numbers that I can give specifically in context to generative AI. It seems that about 50 to 60 or 70% of tasks can be automated with generative AI. So the big deal here is that when you're recognizing that tasks are being automated, there's still going to be a high level for human contact and interference. So, at the end of the day, I think what we're looking at in the future may be, let's just say, a small reduction of jobs. And if you are in a place that is reducing jobs with AI, we're talking probably 20 to 25% of the workforce, even though that is quite a bit, certainly not half, obviously, but I think we're looking at 20, 25% at like a greater clip if that's going to be, in fact, your workforce.
Interesting. I just, again, just doing some research and preparing for this discussion. I read something that said that AI will actually make the average employee perform better. So every organization has A, B, and C players, right? And it's saying that it's actually, if used appropriately and taken, and organizations understand AI and its role in the workplace, that it will make the average employee actually a better contributor. I found that to be really interesting. Glama, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the beauty of AI is the ability to really create custom learning programs for different employees. Because I've always believed, with the different companies that I work with, the companies that were focused first on growth as far as education, and I mean, there's been different programs. You guys are familiar, you guys work with different companies in this capacity as far as creating, learning programs to improve their efficiency and upskilling their employees. But I believe that AI just creates a level of customization and personalization that you're not only going to see impacted in education, but in the workforce, dramatically. Because you can imagine now, if you have an AI, you have a co-pilot, or a chatbot that as you're going through, let's say, custom playbooks for certain roles. That's one of the things we work with some of our clients on. It's just going to be more efficient. You're not going to have to go through, workshops and through long training programs, and you're not really sure if they're really the information that they're learning is really being received properly. You're going to have the ability to test, grade, measure, and track their improvement as far as their information retention. I just think there's so many ways from that angle that's going to make your organization not only more innovative, but constantly growing and more fluid. But not only that, also I feel, with these different tools, we talked about augmentation and just amplification too. So if you are an employee, you're an employee at a job. Let's say you said you're a B or C player. You have certain weaknesses and certain strengths. You can leverage your strength, and you can leverage AI to mitigate some of your weaknesses, and it can help you to produce more efficiently. I think that's empowering to a workforce, not only from a production standpoint, just for far as the numbers, but also from a confidence standpoint and from a culture standpoint, where people feel empowered, they feel like they can do their jobs at a high level, and they can feel like they can improve and grow. In those areas where they are weak, they can either improve or they can mitigate, leveraging some of the power of AI.
Tyrone, let's switch gears for a moment and ask, what are the ethical issues related to AI and its use generally, and its specifically its use in the workplace?
One more time, I couldn't hear you the beginning
I'm
of your
sorry.
question. I'm sorry.
My question was, what are the ethical issues related to AI, AI's use in general, and its use in the workplace?
I think they're kind of all the same. So as AI becomes more prevalent, addressing ethical considerations should be of the utmost importance. Transparency, fairness, accountability, and privacy are some of the key ethical concerns. Even in the cases of transparency, what you see may not be what you're getting, right? So um, again, it is kind of like the wild, wild west in a sense, where you're putting a lot of trust into unknowns just to be able to get a boost. So there is a trade-off. I would suggest organizations ensure that AI systems are as transparent as they can be in their decision-making processes, as close to free from biases as possible. And you want to do your best to protect user privacy. I think with all of that being said, establishing ethical guidelines and frameworks for how you use AI in your company is probably 90% of the deal here, right? So you're literally creating the playing field for your people to use AI responsibly. And your goal is to build trust and mitigate potential risks.
Thank you. Well, same issue, same question regarding ethical issues. There you go.
Yeah, so as far as just ethical concerns, there are a number of ethical concerns. I think, can you hear me? You guys
Yes.
can hear me? Okay, all right, great. As far as ethical concerns, I really look at some of the areas that we should really focus in on as in the areas of bias. As far as with the training data, I think that's really important. That's why I'm really a big proponent of diversity in the tech space. Whether it's in the areas of hiring, in law enforcement, there's so many different areas where it could become a problem based on potentially based on inherent biases that can be inputted in the training data. So ensuring fairness, addressing those biases, I think would be important so we don't continue to perpetuate a lot of social inequalities that are inherent in a lot of different spaces, obviously. And Tyrone already talked on a little bit too, privacy and data protection. Some of the companies I've worked with, they are still very hesitant if even beginning to engage with some of the AI tools that are out there because there are concerns of, unauthorized data usage and breaches. And that's why I mentioned, developing your own versions of ChatGPT or leveraging different APIs on your own servers because there is there is some danger there if you're using some of these tools and you're using proprietary data and information from your company. You want to be well informed as far as how your information is being used. I think we're going to a day and age where data privacy and being informed on the platforms that are being used and how that information is being used is very, very critical. For example, you guys probably saw on the news not too long ago about Zoom. We're using Zoom right now, but Zoom has made some changes to the policies and procedures as far as their ability to track how they're using our data and leveraging our visuals, our audio, and I think we got to stay on top of that. And as companies, I think that's where a lot of custom development is going to start taking more custom development is going to start taking place, and you're going to start seeing. I think it's going to be very important for especially for those who are CTOs in their companies to really look at the systems that they're using and really put together a game plan as far as not just the exponential capabilities that you can leverage with AI, but also what's a game plan that can help to guard and guide as far as safety rails to protect your company as far as the proprietary information is data, but also to make sure communication and collaboration is done in a fair manner. And just transparency as well. I think transparency is one of the biggest things that I'm really key on, especially with some of the new tools that are coming out. We want to make sure that there's transparency. So I'm really a big advocate for companies, and even organizations and different representatives, whether it's even in, areas, wide and vast, as far as having councils, different boards that can also speak in some of these companies, whether it's an open AI or some of these newer companies that are out there, to be able to see what's going on behind the scenes and to have dialogue and conversation before some of these things get rolled out.
So I recently attended a webinar on this very topic, HR, and well, AI and HR in particular. And one thing I learned, and both of you just said, so Tyrone, I'm going to flip it over to you in just a second, and that is built-in bias, which really struck me. And when I shared that with some of my teammates, they were as equally shocked that there's potentially built-in bias in artificial intelligence and the output of it. Tyrone, could you talk a little bit more about that? Because both of you just said it. And then, Blum, I'm going to come back to you on that one.
I think we all recognize that bias is built into most things, every conversation, just about, right? I think it's just good enough, or somewhat at the surface of good enough understanding that it does exist, right? So built-in bias refers to the presence of discriminatory or unfair outcomes that can arise from AI systems due to training data, flawed algorithms, or improper implementation. Some of those areas you certainly have a lot of control over, including bias training data. So again, when I mentioned the use of virtual assistants or chatbots, doing your best to make sure that training data or that knowledge base is as unbiased, or at least captures enough interpretations of the same thing in a more kind of well-rounded ideal, is kind of what you're talking about, and the opportunities you're looking for within establishing a good base of information. You're going to understand nothing's going to be perfect. However, I do believe that's the first area that should be addressed when, in fact, creating your knowledge base. Also, I guess it should be said that AI systems learn from historical data, and if the data contains biases or reflects societal inequalities, the AI system may perpetuate or amplify those biases. So it also really just comes, again, into play with your team. What are you all thinking about? Do you have maybe like a checklist of things that you're coming up with as an organization to say, you know what, we're doing our best not to have bias here, and this is the checklist, or this is the process that we've used. Now, when you have a process, it's very easy to then say, well, this is where it failed in the case that it does. So again, I think that it's just important to really be thinking about these things at a high level and with an actual team, if possible. Types of biases that can manifest in AI systems include selection bias, gender or racial bias, confirmation bias, proxy bias, recruitment and selection bias, performance evaluation, employee engagement and retention certainly could be biased. So there's a lot of different areas that HR specifically is really working to affect, that all can be heavily biased without, I believe, a good team and possibly even consulting outside experience in some of these cases to be able to just get another look at these things.
So if I hear you correctly, that AI actually learns based on input, I guess. It could learn to be biased.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to understand, even when you're using like a chat GPT, it's not telling you that the answer is correct. It's just telling you that this is the answer I'm giving you. Right. So
Right.
it's not a right or wrong thing often. It's literally, what can I compile? How good of an answer can I make it? And what are you going to do with it at the point that you see the response? Right. So at the end of all your chat GPT questions, probably it says something like, this is just a template. You should, put your own stuff here. Or sometimes it even says, you should, be wary of different biases that could be present here, right? So, we've all seen the messages, and that's what it's really talking about.
Yeah, I learned on this webinar I just referenced that you can actually ask it, does your response contain bias or include bias or whatever language you would use? But so
Absolutely.
it actually can tell you if it's inherently in there.
Mhm.
Interesting. Blama, I said we were gonna talk about this. So let's switch over to you for a little bit. The same topic about built-in bias and what expand on what Tyrone was just talking about, if you would.
Yeah. So I think just really add on to what Tyrone said. He really laid out really as far as the different biases and the built-in biases that's possible. I think what we really have to look at too is as organizations, um, as team members, as leaders, I think the different ways to prevent but also identify bias with some of these different tools. I think one of the things I've been really talking to some of my team members and some of my clients about too is even having regular audits of even in the development phase of some of your tools, or even as you're using some of these tools, having regular audits to determine whether or not those AI algorithms are showing those strong signs of biases over time, right? I think that's very important, very key to helping to mitigate a lot of the potential bias that can take place. Transparency, I think, again, like I said, I'm going to keep saying transparency. I think is huge from not only the end users but also the companies and the developers of a lot of these tools and technologies. Um, Diverse development teams. Like again, I'm gonna keep going back to that again. As far as we want to have transparency as far as how these tools are being developed. What type of teams, what type of perspectives are going into these tools, right? I think it's also important that we look at this as a team effort, because this is a transformative technology. Like there's no one of the things I always share with people is you can't put a genie back in the box, right? Or back in the bottle, right? We're already, it's like you can't roll back technology. You were already down this path. So we got to start looking at how we can partner, whether it's through governmental bodies, regulatory entities, as far as having different standards to enforce that we do not cross those lines, as far as, and also to ensure fairness in the AI systems as they're being developed and to mitigate that bias. And another thing that's very important too, and I think we need to also factor in, is user feedback. Okay. I think that's a huge area that we want to make sure we have that feedback loop going, and we want that to be open. A lot of these tools do have that feedback built in, like ChatGPT, for example. They'll tell you whether that's whether or not the answers are quality or not quality. But you can also have feedback systems that can grade whether there's bias or there's not bias. I think we can start to determine and develop systems for that as well.
One of the things I wanted to talk about, we broached the subject pretty early on in the discussion today, and we're getting sort of close to the end here. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on enhancing the customer experience and how AI is going to do that. So Blama, would you start, if you will?
Yeah, sure. Customer experience. One of the areas that I've been really focusing very strongly with some of the things we've been developing over the past 2 or 3 years is in the areas of just customer satisfaction and being able to measure and track emotional sentiment, being able to collect data through various sources, whether it's through sound, whether it's through images, you talk about emojis, right? Things like that, or through the text itself. I think AI gives us the ability uh, to discern and to sift through various amounts of information and give us quality or determinants as far as what it means. I think that's very powerful. It can help us to stay ahead of the curve as far as organizations from an organizational standpoint. But I think also that level of personalization, Tyrone talked about that earlier. I think that's very huge. You already see that in platforms like Amazon, right? You see the level of investment they put into their platform for personalized recommendations and different offers. That helps improve the customer experience. It helps to also foster a sense of community. One of the areas I'm looking at, I'm also working with some of my clients on is combining AI with community. So using community platforms to be able to improve engagement, the relevance as far as the information or the data, whether it's creating cohorts or things like that. That's again going to satisfaction, be able to measure that. I think another thing we talk about chatbots is huge. It's the 24/7 availability, right? You have a instant response to what your support needs around the clock, and it's very detailed, and in many cases even more powerful than working with a person, right? So that can help to lead to satisfaction as far as from that standpoint. Faster issue resolution. If we're dealing with versus using human agents, you have AI that helps to automate certain routine queries running the manufacturing space. Some of the challenges that I see there sometimes is getting those experts that can help to surface machines and tools that have the expertise in those areas for certain tools and different certain systems that require a lot of education, a lot of understanding and experience in. I believe AI can help to improve that experience from a customer standpoint, right? Because you can now be able to dump basically that person's experience, their expertise, and over time, as you're doing whether it's frequently asked questions, over time as you have human agents answering questions, AI can start to learn, and it can help to improve the ability to route those queries and answer those queries and solve those issues. Predictive analytics. I think that's helped from a customer standpoint too. Whether you have a Tesla or you have a new piece of technology that is a camera, and you need to know what things you need to do proactively address issues and solutions, so you can help to extend the life of those tools and those equipment that you have. I think that's huge. Those are just a couple of things I'm thinking off the top of my head.
Thank you. Tyrone, would you give us your vision of how the customer experience will be enhanced through the use of AI?
Sure. So I don't want to be giving too much overlap. So I certainly would have hit on personalization, predictive analytics, chatbots, and virtual assistants. I guess in that category, I would add voice assistants. So voice activated AI assistants. You can think of Alexa or Siri, pretty much anything that's hands-free and intuitive, that provides convenience and accessibility in that end. I've seen even like the contact center solutions for organization all have voice assistants now for the most part and are using generative AI. So there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline almost every day in that regard when it comes to the voice piece. Or I should just say listening. I read today that a new cyber threat is AI listening to the keyboard taps that you make. So I think the test case was on a Mac laptop like I'm using. Apparently now they have AI that can listen for my password when I enter it just from the taps. And I think it's like over a 90% rate of getting that correct. But when it comes to AI specifically, an HR related customer experience, I'll just give you a few different things that I've seen. So there's AI powered recruitment platforms that streamline the hiring process, providing a seamless experience for candidates and recruiters. The algorithms can match candidates to suitable job roles, automate resume screening, and facilitate efficient onboarding processes pretty easily. There's employee self-service, so AI-powered HR portals and self-service platforms that empower employees to access HR-related information, submit requests, and find answers to their queries independently. Again, just really thinking about reducing the administrative burden. There's some learning and development tools. So there's AI-powered learning platforms that offer personalized training and development programs tailored to individual employee needs. This obviously gives an organization a chance to enhance employee skills, engagement, and career growth, ultimately benefiting the customer's experience. And again, limiting the amount of things that you're having your administration even involved with. Outside of that, I would just kind of throw in employee engagement. There's a lot of opportunities there. And I think that probably will round out maybe the top areas that I've been seeing in HR as far as customer experience.
Got it. Thanks. Okay. Well, we've just about come upon the hour. We have a few minutes left, and I'd like to take those few minutes to allow each of our presenters to give a short synopsis of this discussion, if they would, and then give us their contact information and website, whatever, so that anybody who has an interest in following up can do so. So why don't we start with Blama? Just a short summary of AI in the workplace, and then give us your contact information, and we'll go from there, and then turn it over to Tyrone. Blama, go ahead. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so just a quick summation, I think, of today's talk, really, from my perspective, is I believe we should have a glass half full perspective towards AI. I think there tends to be whenever there's disruption and there's new technology and things that come to the space, this is nothing new, right? Technology is going to disrupt as we continue to increase our knowledge and our capacity, and we come up with new innovative solutions, whether it's in AI or it's in energy. It's only going to help us to improve, and we just have to be strategic as far as our approach, and we have to be thoughtful on how we can protect and we can improve our lives. And so I believe that AI is going to help to really not only transform the landscape, but to help to leverage those that may not have the tools and the technology. Whether you're a smaller company, you may not have the resources. I believe AI gives you the capacity to build a level the playing field and to provide a better experience, not only culturally, not only internally, but externally as well. So I feel like AI is a huge transformative opportunity for companies to take advantage of. And I just say, get informed, get plugged in. Do not be like the ostrich that sticks his head in the sand, right? Things are still going to continue to move forward in life and time, but you need to begin to be informed, get engaged, and get your voice out there so you can learn. I think right now, more than ever, as we start to move forward in this technological landscape, we have to learn faster, and we have to learn to engage so we can make sure that we're helping to guide where things are going.
Thank you.
And then as far as contact information,
yeah, give us your contact information in case we want to reach out.
Yeah. As far as contact information, if you want to reach out to me, my personal website is blama.com. That's BLAMAH.com. And so I use that site to really do a lot of education. I do a lot of consulting, speaking through that website, but I'm also going to be launching a platform for CEOs and thought leaders in different sectors as far as how they can leverage AI and different new platforms that are coming out, as far as the different frameworks that we're using for some of our clients. And so we're going to be coming with an academy out there, an AI academy for CEOs and thought leaders. That's going to be very powerful there. Also, our agency, Web Collaborative, was full service digital creative agency. If you would like to learn how we can work with your company as well, you can reach out to us and learn more about what we have to provide at wiredrevenue.com, wiredrevenue.com. And you can also email me directly at bsarnor or Blama at wiredrevenue.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Blama. Tyrone, quick summary and then contact information.
Sure. So I guess in conclusion, AI is revolutionizing both customer experience and the workplace, acting as a catalyst for innovation, efficiency, and personalization. In customer interactions, AI's capabilities extend to enhancing response times, predicting needs, and offering unprecedented personalization. Simultaneously, within the HR domain, AI's influence on recruitment, learning and development, and employee engagement is profound, further enriching the customer experience. So for small to medium-sized businesses, the integration of AI opens new horizons for growth and competitiveness. It necessitates a strategic approach that includes reskilling and upskilling the workforce and adapting business models to the ever-changing landscape. However, this transformation is not without its challenges. Ethical considerations, data privacy, and human oversight must be at the forefront of AI implementation, certainly if you want to be safe. Mitigating biases and fostering a culture of continuous learning are essential, I believe. So by embracing AI with a balanced and thoughtful approach, organizations should be able to create a positive and lasting impact on both customers and employees, drive sustainable growth, and maintain a competitive advantage. I just think the key here is to start small, start slow if you need to. Just make sure you're getting things right along the way, and don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. Along with that, my company, Opportunities to Serve, you can find us at opportunities2serve.com, or the short version is www.opp2s.com. You certainly can find me on LinkedIn at Tyrone Martin Robinson III. And all my information's in the chat. As far as email, tmriii@opportunities2serve.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyrone. And Blum, thank you as well. Appreciate your time and your insight, your expertise. Hopefully we've all taken something away from this. And I appreciate all of our guests and participants today. And thanks, and until next time, have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.